Maccabees Part 2. Then Georgios got to the camp, but just as they left it was empty. Judas appeared with 3,000 men in not the best armor, and they saw the horsemen patrolling the fortified camp. Judas told his people, "Don't be afraid. Remember how our forefathers were saved at the Red Sea when Pharaoh pursued them. Now let us cry to the God of heaven, if perhaps he will accept us and remember his agreement with our forefathers and crush the camp before us today. Then the heathen will know that there is one who ransoms and preserves Israel." Then non-Israel aliens lifted up their eyes, saw the army. Judas sounded the trumpet and attacked the heathen and killed 3,000 men. Judas and his forces returned from the pursuit of them and said, "Don't set your hearts on plunder, for there is still yet a battle before us. Georgius and his army are here in the mountains. Stand your ground against our enemies and fight them. Afterwards you could take spoil." While Judas was still speaking, a second detachment appeared from the mountains. They saw Judas's army ready to attack. They fled to the land of the Philistines. The Lord's valiant people plundered, taking a great deal of silver, gold, and sapphire, and sea purple. Great wealth. They returned singing and blessing the God of heaven. That's 1 Maccabees 4:23. Then aliens who escaped went and reported to Lysias all that had happened. He was sad it didn't turn out like the king ordered. So in the following year he gathered 60,000 picked men to conquer Israel. Judas came at them with 10,000 men. They prayed, "Blessed are you, the Savior of Israel, who stopped the rush of the champion by the hand of your slave David, and delivered the Philistine camp into the hands of Jonathan, the son of Saul." They prayed to God to shut up the camp into the hand of the people of Israel, and let them be ashamed of their armies and horsemen, their strength. Strike them down with the sword of those that love you. Let all who know your name sing you with hymns. Then they joined the battle, and Lysias and his armies fell fully. All 5,000 men fell right before them. When Lysias saw that his army fell and Judas was boldly ready to live or die nobly, he withdrew to Antioch and hired more soldiers in the greatest number to come against Judea. Judas and his brothers said, "Now our enemies are crushed. Let us go up and purify the sanctuary and rededicate it." They went to Mount Zion. They found the sanctuary desolated. The doors were burned off. The weeds were growing inside. The priest's quarters were torn down. They tore their clothes with utter great lamentations and covered themselves with ashes, fell on their faces, sounded ceremonial trumpets, and cried to heaven. And Judas appointed men to fight the garrison, the paid soldiers in the citadel, and he appointed law-abiding priests without blemish, and they purified the sanctuary and deliberated and decided to take down the whole altar so that it might never be thrown up that the heathens polluted it. They put the stones in the temple mountains until a prophet should come and declare what to do with them. They took whole stones as the law required and built a new altar and built a sanctuary and consecrated courts and made new holy dishes and burned incense and put out bread and hung curtains. On the 25th day of the 9th month of Chislev, they offered a sacrifice according to the law. It was rededicated with songs and harps, and all the people fell on their faces and blessed God, which prospered it, and they celebrated the rededication of the altar for 8 days. They decorated it with gold crowns and small shields. There was great joy because of the reproach of the heathen was wiped out. Judas declared the days of the rededication of the altar should be observed with gladness and joy every year for 8 days, beginning on the 25th of the month. They built walls and strong towers around Mount Zion and established a force there to hold it. He fortified Berthusa too, so that the people had a strong face holding Idumea. When the heathens heard that the altar had been rebuilt, they were angry and resolved to destroy the descendants of Jacob. They began to kill Judas and fight against the sons of Esau, crushed them, remembering old wickedness, and he burned towers. He passed on to the Ammonites and found Timothy in command. He fought them many times. Meanwhile, the heathen gathered together against them. They sent a letter to Judas saying, "The heathens have gathered to destroy us. They are preparing to seize their stronghold where they have taken refuge. So, come rescue us. Many of our brothers in the district of Tob, their wives and their children have already been taken captive. Their property, they destroyed a regiment of men. And they were still reading when the messengers from Galilee came with torn clothes and a message to the same effect, saying, Ptolemais and Tyre and Sidon and all of Galilee aliens gathered against them to destroy them. Judas and his people had a meeting. Judas said to Simon, choose men to go and save our brothers who are in Galilee, and I and Jonathan will go to Gilead. He left Joseph to guard the place with orders, saying, take command of these people. Do not join battle with the heathen until we return. Simon went into Galilee with 3,000 men, and Judas went to Gilead with 8,000 men, and the heathen were beaten. Judas Maccabeus and his brothers crossed the Jordan, encountered the Nabateans, and met them peacefully. Judas killed some more men, and at daybreak Judas said that the battle had begun and cried to heaven. He told his men to fight for their brothers today. Armies just fell before the Maccabees. God was with them. Judas sent men to recon the camp. They reported that the heathen are gathered and have hired Arabs to help them in readiness to attack. Judas went out to meet them, and his crew advanced across the stream, and the heathens were beaten again. They were traveling, needing to get through to Ethiopia, a strong fortified town. Maybe Europa. I'm sorry, Can't read it. I'm sorry, guys. My handwriting sucks there. Anyway, they sent peaceful messages, but they wouldn't receive them, and they wouldn't let them pass through. So they camped and fought the city all day. They destroyed every male, plundered and passed right through. Judas kept gathering up those who fell behind and encouraging all the people all the way till they reached Judah.